I actually think that one of the ways to get around this is to actually, as an organisation, say we are going to publish our pay rates on a monthly basis. So everybody is going to know what everybody else is earning. It seems to me rather archaic that remuneration is a big secret within an organisation. I don't understand why that's the case.
Good luck with getting that through boards.
ABC presents The Filthy Rich List, where it's one law for them and another for the rest of us.
Mark Scott is the Managing Director of the ABC. This morning, the Australian newspaper published a list of high-profile ABC people and what they're paid. How did this come about? Mark Scott, good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning, John.
What happened?
Don't know. John, we've launched an investigation into this this morning, really first became aware of it as the newspaper published overnight. It seems the Australian has got access to confidential payroll data. Then they seem to have built a table out of it. I mean, some of the information looking at it this morning looks clearly wrong, but clearly they've got a cache of confidential payroll and salary information, and they have built tables and a story around it, and they've published it all today. I'm very concerned about it. It's simply in the case that I think everyone would expect that payroll information should be confidential. It shouldn't leak. I'm very concerned about that. An investigation's been launched this morning into how that information could have got out.
It may be the Indonesian Security Service who have decided to try to embarrass the Australian government, Mark Scott. You get my point, though. It's a gag, but it's about double standards. We release information. We say it's in the public interest to tell the world that Australian government agents have been spying on the Indonesian president. We can't have it both ways on what's in the public interest, can we?
Oh, look, I think, John, it's a fair point, but this was a point that was investigated by the Senate some years ago. There have been discussions as to whether, in fact, there should be disclosure of the salaries of ABC staff. There was a Senate hearing into it. That Senate hearing was held in camera, and the senators came to the view that for a number of reasons it wasn't in the public interest to release this information. Now, of course, it's information that the public is interested in, but whether in fact that's the public interest is another matter. And I suppose the argument was, as you well know, salaries of everyone in the media aren't revealed. Today we know what you're paid. We don't know what Neil Mitchell is paid, even though we assume it's a multiple of what you're paid. So why should only the ABC staff salaries be revealed? And I suppose the answer to that is
because they're on the
money.
public purse.
Well, of course.
But as matters stand, Mark, I mean, look, here we are. We're a public broadcaster, and we get treated the way we treat other people, in a way. Isn't that right?
Well, yes and no, John. I mean, I think there is... So I'm saying it's a legitimate debate as to whether, in fact, this information should be revealed. We have argued in the past that it shouldn't be revealed because, firstly, most people want their salary to be private. The vast majority of public servants out there, their salaries are private. But also that by releasing the information, it could put the ABC at a competitive disadvantage to other media organisations that don't need to do it, and therefore that might hurt the ABC.
There are also inevitably now going to be some repercussions, and as this information is being digested around the place, absolutely everyone is saying, how come she's paid more than him, or he's paid more than her, or she's not paid as much as that guy, and so on and so on.
And I think that would
as an
be
organisation, how are you going to deal with that?
Yeah, that's a challenge for us. We've already had some meetings this morning on that.
I try and get as much as I can out of the organisation, and I struggle in making headway, and so does everybody else.
Yeah.
But quite frankly, and again, in the spirit of breaking all convention and rules, I'm astonished that Lee Sales is paid less than me.
Well, I'm not going to go into individuals, John. I think that's unfair, and I don't think.
Okay, I'm equally astonished that the Sydney newsreader earns vastly more than the Melbourne television newsreader.
I'm not going to go into any of the specifics of it with you, John. Suffice to say that there are sometimes individual reasons for this. This is actually a media organisation. There can be competitive reasons around that. Sometimes the challenge is, can you keep talent when they are under competitive offer or when there's a competitive market for them. Sometimes you do deals with people so that they stay, and sometimes, as is often the case at the ABC, we can't compete on the money and people walk away. So as is the case in any workplace, there'll be individual reasons. If you rolled out the complete payroll of any organisations, questions would be asked, John.
Yeah.
We get given a lot of money from the taxpayers, but we do a lot with it. 5 radio networks, 4 television networks in Australia, our international services, a host of online services. We build things, we make things. It's a big, big enterprise.
Sure.
And the salaries here are not inflated compared to what people can earn elsewhere. In fact, it's a pretty fevered media market in some respects, and many people on that list could earn a good deal more money elsewhere.
To which the counter-argument is there's a lot of unemployed journalists floating around the place.